is 7:30 on the dot on this May 21st. And happy Tuesday to you. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett. I'm your host, Bridgett Ellison, here on News 6 Plus and clickorlando.com. If you're headed out this morning, you'll notice that it is way more comfortable out there in the 60s, but we are getting into the 80s again today. And meteorologist Candace Campos is in the Pinpoint Weather Center getting us ready for all of that. And we'll get a check of the weather and the traffic. And today we're talking about maternal mental health and new moms with a licensed counselor, plus some news, some contests, and more. But Candace is there. And Candace, I really enjoyed stepping out this morning. Didn't need the jacket, but it wasn't muggy. It wasn't really muggy either.
No, you know what? We had a cold front come through late yesterday. It barely came through Central Florida. And then it just took a little bit of time for that cooler air to
Mm-hmm.
settle in and bring kind of the more of a drier start to the day. Now, we still have just enough residual moisture down at the surface that we're still going to have a few more scattered showers today.
Okay.
But then as we head into your Wednesday and Thursday, we'll start to really bring down those rain chances, but then the temperatures start to climb. So you got one or the other, right, Bridget?
Yeah.
So let's take it to the map, show you what's going on across Central Florida. We have this area of low pressure, Bridget, that is just still sitting just off the far western Atlantic, just off the shores here. And we're going to continue to watch it spiral in just a few scattered showers along our coastline that could clip our beaches throughout the morning hours. But then after the morning scattered showers along the coast, we'll see that activity shift a little further to the east, I should say further to the west from the east, developing some scattered showers along I-4 by about the lunchtime hour. We'll continue to track towards I-4, towards 75, between about 3 and about 6 o'clock in the evening. It's going to be a primarily East Coast driven day where we had those sea breezes go from east to west pretty quickly throughout the afternoon. But in the meantime, like you just stated, it is a cool start. We're in the upper 60s, mid 60s across our northern zones, to the mid 70s along our beaches. We're at 70 in Titusville, but 74 in Cocoa Beach. So as we take you here hour by hour, so you can really plan out your Tuesday, highs right where they should be for this time of the year. Our average high in Orlando is 89. That's exactly where we're going to be hovering today. Rain chances do sit at about a 40% today, as you saw with that modeling, that a few hit or miss showers can't be ruled out. We're not looking at anything very strong to severe or very widespread, but there will be that chance. And as we continue to roll out the next 7 days, you can see rain chances drop off from 10 to 5% Wednesday and Thursday, but then those temperatures will surge because there's really nothing to cool us down. Then comes Saturday and Sunday. You'll notice temperatures climb even further. Our winds will start veering more out of the south, and it's that southerly breeze that will allow those afternoon showers and thunderstorms to slowly start to creep back into the forecast. We have the icons there with some showers and thunderstorms. It's not going to be a washout of a weekend by any means, but it is going to be a little more of that typical unofficial start to summer kind of weekend where we will see those temperatures still in the mid 90s, and then the rain chance about 20-30%. So kind of the rule of thumb, if we're seeing temperatures at 96, 97 degrees, there's a pretty good chance that we're really not going to see widespread rain, because if we did, we wouldn't be getting to those temperatures. So that's how you can kind of fluctuate between looking at those icons and the temperatures and things like that. So just overall nice Memorial Day weekend if you want to start planning things out. The beach forecast is looking great as well, although we still have that high risk of rip currents.
Oh, gosh. I'm thinking about barbecue right now.
Does that sound nice?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You
What
have any
would you put on
plans?
what would you put on the BBQ?
Ooh. Well, I mean, you have to have the burgers. You
Right?
have to have the hot dogs, right? But
Right.
then, you have to throw in some other things like some grilled wings, maybe.
Yeah. Ooh,
What
that
about
sounds
you?
good. That sounds good. Do you know my husband one time he added what was it called? Like eggplant, like grilled
Oh,
like eggplant or squash, like some veggies and like
mm-hmm.
nice grilled veggies. Does that sound
Yeah. Now, does he
perfect weather for that,
put
Bridget?
some
Perfect
special
weather.
seasoning on there?
Maybe. I like the
Okay.
sound of that. I'm coming over.
Okay. Okay.
I
You have to show me how to use my egg because I have an egg, but I don't know. I have a
don't know
mini
how to use
egg.
it.
Okay. All right. We have time. Okay.
Okay, deal.
Thanks,
Bye.
Candace. All right, let's check in with Trooper Steve. And Oh, he's out in the truck today. He is out in the truck today. Yesterday, you got to hang out with your friend and had a cool helicopter visit here at the station.
That's right. Air Care 2 made a visit here to News 6 to the start of EMS week. And, you know, they're impressive. Anytime they show up. Definitely, Air Care has arrived. And they are basically the trauma level response for Orlando Health. They are the big deal. If they're showing up on a scene, that means someone has some critical injuries and needs the attention. But it's amazing to be able to learn so much about the diverse background of all these medics and nurses. And yes, to Bridget's point, my best friend since sixth grade does fly with Air Care. He's been flying with them for just over 10 years. So, of course, we made sure he was on that helicopter so that we could all have a good conversation. But really, really cool experience. You want to check that stream out over at clickorlando.com. Very informative stuff. And then Ezzy got to hang out too. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, she looked like she was having fun too. What are you up to today?
Yeah. Today we're going to go look at some normal stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what the question is. I think I already know the answer to it, but it could just be an easy Ask Trooper Steve, but we're going to convert it into a TSOP, a Trooper Steve on patrol. The numbers painted on the roadways. Some people were curious about, sometimes they see numbers on the road, sometimes they don't. I think I know what we're talking about. So today at 10 a.m., we are going to go drive and show these numbers that are painted on the road, why they are there, what they mean, and who uses them, because they're not necessarily for you and I. So
numbers painted on the road.
You're like my little traffic investigator, because you know so much more about traffic than half the folks in this building.
Well, and I think it's because
you pay attention a lot too, though.
Yeah, and I had my dad's a professional driver. So there was just this emphasis on the ways of the roadway from a young age.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's a great thing.
I would ride along.
I think it's a great thing.
You had a question today about FHP having its own big rig. And I remember my dad would throw us into the big rig on some weekends when there was no babysitter. So it was fun to see that FHP has a big rig.
Yeah, I bet.
I could not believe that they have one. So that was a fun question this morning that you had.
Yeah, it does well. It does real well on clickorlando.com, because people are always very curious whether a semi truck can pull you over or not. Yes, we have them amongst other interesting vehicles. But before I let you go, we could do a quick traffic check for you. DOT cam showing we're much better along I-75 this morning than we were a little while ago. This is the 337 mile marker just south of Ocala. Southbound had some lingering construction, so do expect that overnight as well, because we are seeing these issues out there. Trying to get my computer to progress here as we... There we go. All right. So you can see that delay has kind of gone away. So just make sure you're paying attention. Expect it again tonight as you hit the road. A little further out, Villages, Lady Lake, good morning to you guys. No major problems there. I am seeing some slowdowns eastbound in Maitland as you cross over the Piedmont area. Very routine. And then, of course, westbound delays over in Lake Mary. But when it comes to crashes, we're doing pretty good this morning. Most crashes have been cleared out, 528 or non-existent. We are seeing some delays along Narcoossee, so be careful this morning. This is your aircraft, your kind of airport drive times. So from the southwest area, from 417 southbound to 528 to 436, only 11 minutes. Coming in from Claremont this morning, it's about a 41-minute drive. And then Kissimmee, you have about a 30-minute drive to the airport with no crashes or delays. Leesburg, Turnpike, checking out pretty nice. So, Bridget, as long as people are paying attention this morning, I think we're going to be off to a pretty decent start.
All righty. Well, we'll wait to see what the numbers on the road mean.
Sounds good.
All right. See you then. Okay.
Bye.
All right, such a mystery there. Okay, so we want to get to a little bit of news, and then we have licensed counselor Shantala Boss joining us this morning. Back at the beginning of the month, we had the maternal mental health day. That was back on May 1st. So we'll go over some details on mental health for new mothers in just a few moments. First, though, in the news today, the special election for District 5. In fact, the first time in 10 years. District 5 is getting a new leader, as you've been following along probably. Former Commissioner Regina Hill was suspended by the governor after charges of elderly financial exploitation. So that election is happening today to try to fill this spot. There are 7 candidates vying for the spot. Mark Lehman has more.
This morning, polls are officially opening for the special election to fill Orlando's District 5 commission seat. News 6's Laverne McGee spoke with Orange County Supervisor of Elections Glenn Gilzine, who said voter turnout so far is just over 6% between early voting and vote by mail.
And one of the things I want is to bring a level of trust and transparency to Orange County residents that when they cast their ballot, they know that it counts.
The election happening after Commissioner Regina Hill was suspended by the governor. She's accused of stealing thousands of dollars from a 96-year-old woman. 7 people are now running for her seat. The winner will serve through 2025 or until Hill's case is resolved and she's allowed to return to her position. Political consultant David Washington says leadership in the historically African-American district is critical.
These neighborhoods offer an opportunity for economic growth and developers to come in and do what they need to do to help Paramore, Callahan prosper. This is why leadership, really good leadership, is important for District 5.
All right, so that election is happening. We'll keep you posted on the latest there with District 5. And now to downtown Orlando. We've been covering all of the different ways that leaders are looking to make it safer there. And now the Orlando Planning Board is discussing a new permanent plan aimed at limiting, or a moratorium rather, on nightclubs downtown and how close they can be together. Ezzy Castro explains more.
This morning, members of the Orlando Municipal Planning Board are set to talk about a new plan when it comes to limiting nightclubs in downtown. Right now, the city has a moratorium blocking the opening of any new bars and nightclubs in downtown, which was extended to September.
All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye.
The decision was made after a series of high-profile shootings, which some downtown residents say they were concerned about.
It didn't even make a difference if it was the weekend or not. It was a lot of rowdiness, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of cops around. I don't know.
The officials are now considering putting a new plan that would require any new or expanding nightclubs to be at least 300 feet away from an existing nightclub. The rules would only apply to clubs within the downtown entertainment area.
Interesting developments there. And now we want to talk about mental health and new moms. And we have our friend Shantala Boss with us again this morning. Good morning, Shantala.
Good morning, Bridgett.
May 1st was Maternal Mental Health Day. And we talk about mental health a lot. These days, the awareness is much greater. And I know last time we talked about how self-diagnosis is sometimes a problem, though, even with this increased awareness. But one of those components of mental health that pops up a lot of times is new moms becoming more aware of mental health and some of those challenges. Why is it that this pops up a lot around motherhood and becoming a parent?
Well, becoming a mom is a major life change. It changes everything about a person's life. It changes their relationships. It changes their activities. So it's bound to be a different time for any woman that's having a child. And I think a lot of times what we as women do is we feel guilt if we don't feel we measure up. So a lot of times women will put pressure on themselves or compare themselves to others, especially if they've been wanting to have a child for a long time and they feel this pressure that they should be elated or super excited because this has been a dream of theirs. But when they're going through all those hormone changes, whether they're pregnant or becoming a new mom, they're not going to feel the same they did before. And then they're also changing so many parts of their life. And I think sometimes what happens is new moms lose some of their identity and who they are as a person. And they get so wrapped up in becoming a new mother that they forget to take care of themselves as well. So even if they don't have a formal diagnosis of postpartum depression, I think it's normal to anticipate some changes, some different feelings, and try not to feel that guilt or shame that maybe we're not feeling what we think we should at the time, because it makes total sense that this occurs. So I think the first thing is being aware of it and accepting of ourselves as we go through those changes.
So we talked about some of the consequences of when you're not caring for your mental health. And one of the statistics that comes up with this is that we're having a mortality rate that is closely tied to mental health conditions. And so when we look at the deaths that are occurring during and after pregnancy, the highest majority of those are related back to mental health. And that's really surprising to me, because other, things like hemorrhages or infections, we talk about, a lot of times, sometimes complications in postpartum and after labor and delivery. But we're talking about deaths related to mental health being the highest cause of death related to maternal deaths.
It's really scary. And, most women they may have baby blues or suffer with a change, but they won't have that high of a level of depression. So it's really important to get ahead of it. If a person is planning on getting pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant, or even just struggling with their own emotional health, it's so important that they seek help. A lot of times women who really struggle with that intensive depression or anxiety or at risk for a high risk of death may struggle with a form of psychosis after childbirth. It's very rare, but it does occur. About 1 in 2 women will, out of 1,000, will struggle with forms of psychoses, disconnect from reality, anxiety, depression, alienation, loss of sense of purpose. So any of those signs, even before pregnancy, it's really important to get ahead of that and seek help and treatment, come up with a schedule with one spouse or partner of how to care for the child and have time for themselves, and really seek that support system outside. It's so, so important, because you're right. It's very scary, these numbers that we're seeing.
And when it comes to what's happening with the body chemically, hormonally, can you touch on how there's this combination of maybe there was an underlying issue before baby that maybe just wasn't dealt with, and maybe there's a predisposition to mental health issues that maybe wasn't addressed beforehand, but also how the pregnancy plays into different strains on the body that can also lead to just the imbalances that cause problems with different parts of your health, including mental health.
Well, it's so true and so important. I think we as women know when our body's changing, whether it be that time of the month or whatever we're going through. So tracking those things, tracking those moods, those changes, and being able to connect them to what's going on during a pregnancy, talking to your OBGYN, your doctor, if you have a psychiatrist or someone you see, about seeing any of those changes, whether they be mood swings, lack of sleep, irritability, and talking really about that and tracking those things is highly important, because we may think we're doing fine and then go through some of these hormonal changes, and it could just embellish or make worse some of those underlying things maybe that we already struggle with. And then it can feel out of control and it can get scary very quickly. So it's very important to talk to one's doctor and track those things when it comes to hormone imbalance, because it's a very real thing. You're right.
And so when it comes to the medicines that people might take to help correct this, how does that play into it? Because it's talk therapy that might help in dealing with things like your changing workload or some of the stresses you might feel, but sometimes medication is needed. How does that work?
Medication is very important if a person really feels like they aren't able to get past it, with talk therapy and with the support systems in place. And so talking to a person's doctor, if they are pregnant, of course, there are risk factors involved in medication, but that doesn't mean that one can't take medication. They just need to talk to their doctor and find out what's appropriate and what they can be on. and that can definitely help with hormone changes, with mood swings, and hopefully a person has kind of a background of already having a doctor or someone they can talk to before they get pregnant so that they can stay on top of it. I like to really push to get ahead of this if possible. It's not the end if you haven't gotten ahead of it, but it's so important to kind of have a baseline for mental health becoming a new mom, because it's such a major life change with anything, whether it be a change, any change in a person's life, a move, a new marriage, a new relationship, a new job. It's one of the major stresses of life is becoming a new parent and having a new person that you're completely responsible for. It's huge. And I think sometimes with all the excitement, we forget what a big job that is and how we need to take care of ourselves.
And right, they talk about put your oxygen mask on first for moms. And how do you coach and talk new parents, new moms through a lot of the overwhelm, and how to get past that maybe feeling of guilt of admitting, like, I need to talk to somebody, and how do I get through this, and how do I find other, safe people to talk to that won't judge me?
Well, normalizing it is so important. I think a lot of times we feel guilt when we talk about these things, because sometimes with postpartum depression, women will feel a lack of connection with their child. They won't bond. They won't even have positive thoughts about their child. So there's a lot of guilt and a lot of shame because women think maybe there's something wrong with them or they're a bad mother. So knowing actually what this diagnosis is and what actually happens within a woman's brain, and that it's normal sometimes to have these thoughts and feelings, but it's imperative to get help, and it's okay to talk about it. So finding support, there's support systems all over that have support for women that are going through this. And I think just being open and honest with people that we can trust and finding that support is so highly important, and realizing staying away from comparisons. Sometimes, we might look on Instagram and see that this mom's a super mom and she has every, healthy food that she's making at home while she has 5 kids and also works full time. And it's just not even, not even true. And if it is, she probably has a host of people helping her and working with her. So looking at things in perspective is always important for all of us when we get caught up in comparisons or guilt or shame. And I really think that's the main thing that really brings people into this spiral. Of course, there are other things, whether they be psychologically or chemically, but once we start going into that guilt, that shame, that alienation, it really can spiral and be so unhealthy for a mom. And like you said, get on your oxygen mask first. Show your child, model for your children, seeking help, talking to people. You don't have to be perfect. We're all human. It's such a great role model, because children will struggle as well, emotionally and physically and all these things, if their parents aren't well. So it's important we prioritize our health. It's very important.
And how can we work together to reduce the stigma around mental health and different mental health conditions? Because I think that there is still that stigma there, and people who are brave enough to come out and talk about it might be treated differently and looked at differently. How can we work on that stigma?
Well, all we can do is continue to talk about it and prioritize it, educate ourselves and educate other people, and really be a sounding board for people that are going through it. Sometimes if we don't understand what someone's going through because we haven't gone through it, I think we may be judgmental, and that's where it can be difficult with mental health. But everybody has a different story and a different place in life that they struggle with. So normalizing that and trying to feel empathy and support for everyone, and really, I really feel like it's getting so much better. So we just need to continue the trend we're doing. It's very good news that we're talking about that this morning, and that you guys always prioritize talking about that. So I think we have to just continue in this, and it is getting better.
Yes, and it's wonderful to have you on again, Shantala, and hopefully this encourages anyone to reach out and talk to someone if they need to, or listen to a friend and help them along as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Shantala. Have a great day.
You too, Bridgett. Bye.
All right. Bye. And this morning, we want to talk about your internet bill. And if you're like me, maybe your bill is delivered paperlessly, and maybe you start looking at the fees and you're like, okay, what's that fee for? What's that fee for? Well, my co-anchor and insider guy, Crystal Moyer, has more on breaking down your broadband bill.
Roland Netzer says his internet bill is confusing.
They run good deals at the beginning that after a while go away.
Unfortunately, we're often at the mercy of these companies who can charge us whatever they want, and they don't necessarily tell us what they're charging us. So at least with the broadband label, we should have some better sense of what we're paying for.
As you can see from this FCC sample, the new labels show the name of the provider, the name of the plan, and the base monthly price for internet service, along with any additional one-time or recurring fees like installation charges, modem rental fees, and other equipment-related fees. Those must be broken out separately from the base price. The new labels are mandated by the Federal Communications Commission after nearly a decade of lobbying by Consumer Reports and other advocacy groups.
Cable bills are one area where we've gotten the most complaints from consumers. Sign up for one plan, and then you're getting a broadband modem fee, you're getting a regional sports package fee, you're getting this weird tax that's 4 letters, you don't know what it is. These are often monopolies, so they can get away with it. And so you don't have a lot of choices, but at least now you can know what they're charging you.
The terms and length of promotional pricing must be outlined, along with the price of service once the promotion expires. Companies should also have links to information about discounts if customers bundle their internet with TV or other services. That's welcome news for customers like Netzer, who depend on a good internet connection for a reasonable price.
You know, and like with anything, it pays to shop around. I know I have a promotional rate or speed or something that's expiring, and I need to take the time to check on that myself because, you know, surprise, surprise, when that higher bill rolls in, right? Well, get ready for WKMG hitting the road again. We are going to Kissimmee, 34744, and we want to know about all the stories you want to see covered in that area. So make your voice heard at clickorlando.com/hits-the-road. I can't wait to see the variety of stories that we pull out of that area. So rich in history and such a variety there. So we're looking forward to hearing from you and the hidden gems, the issues you want covered. Just go to clickorlando.com. While you're there, make sure you enter for your chance to win some Rolling Stones tickets. They are coming into town on June 3rd, I believe it is, and we want you to win some tickets. So you need to watch News 6 at 11 p.m. for the word of the day. Then you go back online to clickorlando.com/Rolling Stones and you enter for your chance to win. That's now through tomorrow. So good luck on that one. And that's going to do it for us this morning for Breakfast with Bridgett. And Weather-Wise is up next with Jonathan Kegas, followed by Trooper Steve on patrol. I'll see you on News 6 at noon on WKMG. Have a great morning.